Another busy morning for Americans as we try to keep up with news from the White House and also overseas. Joining us to break down some of the headlines is North Central College professor of political science, Stephen Caliendo. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thank you.
All right, let's start and focus on this. As we've heard and reported this morning, the Supreme Court will hear arguments on the president's executive order to end birthright citizenship. The president is even expected to be there himself. What's going on here? Does the administration even have a viable path?
It looks like it's going to be an uphill battle legally, for sure. I mean, the arguments that they're going to make, that the administration will make, is that when the 14th Amendment was passed, it was directly a result of the end of the Civil War, and that the clause in question here, the birthright citizenship clause, as we call it, was designed to pertain only to the children of formerly enslaved persons. That's going to be a tough lift. First of all, it's 150 years or so of not being interpreted that way. And secondly, Congress has acted. Congress acted in 1940 and again in 1952, and it was clear that their interpretation of what the drafters of the 14th Amendment meant was how we interpret it today.
You know, I want to ask you this, too, because, again, we've been reporting that Trump might actually be there for the oral arguments. What is the significance of that? And why are we kind of like hearing that this is potentially a big deal?
This is deeply problematic from my perspective. I think, you know, given his public comments, his dissatisfaction with his own nominees, and even his comments as recently as yesterday, is that there should be some loyalty, that he put them in office. They should rule consistent with his policy preferences. And so this notion, this sort of gangster notion of him sitting in the courtroom, I don't know, glaring at Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, trying to remind them who put them there, is really problematic. I mean, there's absolutely no reason for him to be there, particularly at a time of war. There's other things that are important, that should be important to him.
Maybe strategic for the midterm strategy as well. Will we see any answers today? Will we maybe hear a recording, the audience later on after all this is said and done?
I'm so glad you asked about that. You don't have to wait for the recording. You can listen live. Go to the Supreme Court's website. They always broadcast these live. We don't have cameras, of course, in federal courtrooms. So there's no cameras, but you can listen live to the audio in a number of places on YouTube, on the Supreme Court's website. But yes, if you're busy at 9 o'clock, when the oral arguments start, you can go back and listen as soon as they're done. The recording will be there.
Okay, Professor, let's change some gears here. Let's talk about this new federal order targeting mail-in voting. How could this order potentially change the future of these mail-ins?
It's not going to change the future of the mail-ins. It's very similar to the last topic we discussed. The executive order will not go into effect because there will be challenges throughout. This is completely unconstitutional, and the president knows that. I think this is, again, signaling, to your point about the midterms. There's some signaling going on here, but the Constitution is clear that running elections is up to the states and municipalities, not the federal government. And so this will be challenged immediately, and it will end up probably at the Supreme Court next year.
Okay, Mr. Caliendo, we're running out of time. I have to ask you this last question, though, because we're also set to hear the address by Trump tonight regarding Iran. What do you expect that he'll zero in on?
Yeah, this is a really good idea for the president to address the American public. He's probably 4 weeks late in doing it, but if he cares about anything, he cares about the stock market and he cares about polls. And he can see that this war is very unpopular. I think what you're going to hear tonight is a justification not only for what we've done already, but also some kind of an impetus for having ground troops, because that certainly seems like the direction that the war is heading.
All right, North Central College professor of political science, Stephen Caliendo, thank you so much for joining us, as always.
I hope you have a great day.
You too. Thank you.